Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome back to We Who Work panel discussions. No matter where you are in the world today, I'm so fortunate to have you tuning in with our professionals, conversating about real issues in real time. We Who Work panel discussions highlight incredible working professionals and the diversities that they have faced and continue to face in all industries. So as we continue to expand our panels, I want to continue to express my appreciation not only for the incredible professionals that we highlight here, but also for the incredible people out there tuning in, watching, sharing, listening, and expanding on our purpose. So when I really started manifesting this idea, I felt like this was kind of like a no-brainer idea, and I really couldn't believe I had never really seen a platform like this, really expanding on the opportunity out there that we've had to really kind of discuss the immeasurable hardships some of us have faced throughout this pandemic. So as we continue to grow and continue to hear other stories, I not only become more well-rounded, I believe, as an individual, sharing in these experiences with others, but it's also given me the opportunity to look at my own personal experiences, not only continue to be grateful the things I do have, but also continue to work harder for things I don't have. So my wish to all of you out there is that you can at least take one small piece of information or one small piece of advice, hopefully more than just that, from our panelists here we have and our professionals, and you can turn that around and apply it in a positive way to help your journey in your personal life, your professional life, your spiritual journey, or however you see fit. So I have also been so fortunate to be challenged at times by people watching the panel. So some may see this as a negative, but to me, I personally believe this is a positive and it's a growing experience. And as we continue to change and grow, I open you all to constructive criticism, and that is a part of learning. And you can then apply that back into your own life and become a more well-rounded and ultimately more powerful individual. So as always, I want to continue to be grateful for all of you out there and continue to be so fortunate to have these amazing guests able to highlight their topic, and as well as really discuss sometimes difficult topics and how they've been impacted during these difficult times. So as we move forward, creating this diverse platform with individuals of all types and professionals of all backgrounds, really, I really want to continue to highlight them and to continue to highlight all of your experiences out there as well. So I believe it's extremely important on our panel, like I've said in the past, and I will always say that we make it diverse and we have people of all industries and all backgrounds defying that kind of professional box that some people may feel. So ultimately, I believe that professional men, women, non-gender identifying individuals, anybody who is willing to contribute their time and provide insightful and positive learning experiences for others out there is worth our time here on the panel. So without any further ado, today I am so excited and so grateful to welcome Karly Cleary here with us, really making her successful stamp in the tattoo industry, paving her own way, not only winning a season of Best Ink, but really now branching out, opening her own tattoo studio in Jenkintown, Pennsylvania. And so thank you so much, Karly. I'm so fortunate to have you here with us.
Oh, thanks for having me. And all very well put, honestly. I think everyone can really identify, business owner or not, with what you just said. That introduction was on point for sure.
Thanks, girl. I appreciate you. And it's so true because I think, a lot of people have this idea as a professional that they need to be in this, business suit maybe, or they need to be in a professional business or in a corporate environment. But we've seen that that changed so much throughout the years. And I want to continue to highlight that really on here because I think it's extremely important. So I am grateful that you feel the same way. You and I are definitely on the same page. So stick around, guys. It's going to be an amazing conversation. I'm really going to go ahead and turn the mic over to you, Karly. I'd love to hear more about you. And if you can give our viewers and our listeners out there who are not fortunate enough to know anything about you yet, a little bit more of your background.
Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry if you hear my dogs in the background, by the way. I tried. My name is Karly Cleary. I've been a tattoo artist for over 15 years now. I've always had a background in fine art. I mean, it was a passion right from the get-go for as long as I can remember. I did not ever envision myself as a tattoo artist. A lot of people are a little surprised to hear that. I feel like a lot of other artists that I meet in the industry, it was a calling for them from a young age, and it was a really great struggle to go from tattoo studio to just to try for an apprenticeship, which is kind of the traditional way to go about getting it. And I just had a very different experience. But I'm glad that it found me. It was kind of a happenstance. I guess I can get into that a little bit. I started college in 2003 as a fine art major and was fumbling a little bit. I was a mom at a very young age, and I knew that I didn't have time, or at least I felt like I didn't have the time to waste in a major that wasn't going to, turn a profit quickly. And the fine arts aren't known to do that. And I was in one of my studio classes when a fellow student approached me and asked if I had ever been considered becoming a tattoo artist. And I absolutely had not. I didn't have any tattoos at the time. I wasn't planning on getting any. I shared a really common misconception about the kind of people that got tattoos, especially back then. And I know that stigma is still sticking around. But I decided to give it a go and just talk to the owner of a studio that student had worked at. And I came in with my college portfolio, and it almost cost me the apprenticeship because the guy took one look at me and how professional I was dressed, and like I was going on a job interview. And he's like, I knew I was a strong artist, and I knew my portfolio was strong. And he saw that, and he said, I'd be stupid not to teach you because I know you would make me money, but I don't think that you're right for this world, for this kind of weird, like seedy underbelly of the tattoo industry that at the time was even kind of making this grand transition into what we kind of know it as today. But he took a chance on me anyway, and it was the best decision I think I had ever made. I quickly fell in love with the industry, the deep history behind it, where it's come from, American tattooing specifically. And it was a really good fit, and it's been challenging in a great way from day one. It's been exciting. It's given me rewards I never could have anticipated, like the constant, very intimate human connections that you have over and over again. That's really the most rewarding part of it. And I'm just, things in life, I'm not going to say that things happen for a reason. I personally think that's a little cliche and a little vague. But anyway, I'm just glad that the tattoo industry and found me, and I'm so grateful for everything that it's brought into my life.
I think it's amazing how you say that it found me, right? Because I think a lot of us feel like we need to go keep searching for what we want, and we need to keep searching for what it is that's going to really kick us off or set us off, or really kind of have us come full circle, when in fact maybe that one thing is going to find us, and we need to kind of be open to that. And I think it's amazing, it kind of exactly what you said, like you walked in and you were here in a business suit, and you're like, okay, I don't fit in this box of what tattoo artists are, but as we all know, mentors are extremely important in our lives, and sometimes we find them when we least expect them. And the fact that he was willing to take that time, and he was willing to put in the effort, and he was willing to kind of give you that opportunity. I mean, you're right, he would have been stupid to let you go, because look at where you've gone today, because you've just exceeded the expectations. I think it sounds like even what you had even known at the time for yourself, which is amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, I kind of envisioned that people like me were walking into tattoo studios all over the country, all over the world, with the same kind of mindset and the same kind of talent, and much more talent than me as well. And that's, I feel like I jumped into this wave of happenstance at the right time without even knowing it. And I think that my generation of tattooers really bridged the gap between what we kind of think of an old school tattoo artist, like this biker shop, kind of like smoky studio where you pick things off the walls, which is exactly what the studio looked like that I walked into. But even that studio has made this grand transition into this like beautiful art studio / tattoo studio with this filled with phenomenally phenomenal artists. And like, it's really neat to see the evolution of the entire industry and even when you see it in specific shops. And I'm really honored to be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a perfect segue, because that's actually one of the questions that I'd love to ask you. Like, I think it's amazing, and I agree with you. Just being somebody who has tattoos myself, and somebody who loves art and follows art in different forms, I love to hear kind of your take on really how you've seen in general kind of what has been affected really during the pandemic, how the industry really has been affected, how you've seen maybe new policies, new procedures put in place so that tattoo shops can be safe or really stay afloat and kind of continue to move into the future.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's a lot of questions into one. So reel me back if I'm not answering all of them. Yeah. But so as far as new policies, I think that and every studio that I've worked at, and studios of friends of mine and studios that I've guest spotted at, we all treat all customers like they're carrying the plague as it is. So as far as knowing how to properly disinfect and using sterilized equipment, that we already had, like we a lot of us are bloodborne pathogen certified, like that knowledge was already there. And I feel like I'm very equipped to give as safe of an environment as possible in this new world that we find ourselves in. So really the only thing that has changed for me is wearing a mask all day, which certainly took a getting used to. But I remember thinking like of all the nurses in my life that have to do that and much more. And I've just bucked up and hung on. And now it's like second nature. I don't even, doesn't even affect me. So I think that besides the masks, it's kind of been like business as usual for a lot of studios. And for me, I signed a lease on a private studio 2 weeks before lockdown. So a private studio experience is even safer in these times that we have. Obviously, that's not everybody's business model or experience or the studio setup, but I felt grateful that I could also add that protection where there's not going to be a whole lot of traffic. My door's literally locked when a appointment is going on. It's one person per appointment. So and waivers are a new thing as well. I also added like an air filtration system in my studio. I know a few other studios that have done that. But I don't know, besides that, it wasn't that big of an adjustment as far as creating a clean and safe environment. Something new that to kind of lessen the amount of foot traffic, I've been doing a lot of virtual consultations and virtual drawing appointments, which actually even, in this hopefully post-COVID world that we're gearing toward, I will definitely continue to do. Mm-hmm. It's efficient. it's easy for people to, get on their phone or their device for 15-20 minutes. In fact, I did 4 consultations right before I jumped on this panel. It was just, it's easy, and I feel a little silly that I hadn't even thought of it before. So that part will definitely be sticking around. Plus, it gives me a chance to see people's faces, because once they're in, half of their face is covered, which is a strange, thing that we're all getting used to. But
I think it's interesting because you say, I feel a little silly. I didn't think of it in the first place. And I think we all kind of feel a little silly in ways. I connect with people over, panel discussions, and I've been connecting with people through discussions and face to face, and I'm a very intimate person. I love being with people. I love connecting with people, but I too have that similar experience. So I do understand where I have this feeling of, I feel a little bit silly myself that I never thought about this, but at that same time, we were never kind of in situations where we had to make alternate decisions. And so we've now become into a situation where we need to think on our feet, or we need to create new ways to be effective and efficient. And like you said, I do think it's extremely efficient, and post-COVID, hopefully moving in that direction. I think it's an amazing thing, what you're doing, and exactly what you said, about adding an air filtration system. I mean, these little things that you can do, which other people might not have thought of. So other people that are watching and listening to this, I know it's amazing that they can take these little tips if they're thinking about opening their own studio, if they're thinking about getting into the business. So it's all helpful for everyone. So you touched a little bit on how you opened a studio 2 weeks before COVID-19 hit. So if you want to kind of go ahead and kind of give a little bit background on that and some of the challenges that you faced, maybe that, positively affected you or negatively affected you. I think maybe they're both important for people to hear.
Sure. So I signed the lease, like I said, 2 weeks before lockdown, but nothing had really started. I definitely didn't open. I hadn't made any announcement yet. I had really just told my studio that this was my plan, which was on a side note, a very it was a very amicable situation. I know a lot of these things don't go as smoothly, but an artist with my years of experience don't usually work for somebody else past a certain point in their career. So it wasn't a surprise or a shock that I was going to be going. And I knew that I at least wanted to start out with a private studio that was large enough to employ other artists down the line if I decided to. So I found this cute little spot in Jenkintown Borough, and was really, really excited about it. And I went through a really long, not super long, but a much more intense vetting process with the council than I was expecting. And I'm grateful for it, because I knew I wanted to be part of a community that valued their business owners and were involved with the small businesses in the area, so that the area would only continue to grow and be profitable and be beneficial for the community. So I love the idea of being part of the business community and being a part of the local politics and Chamber of Commerce in Jenkintown. So I'm looking forward to being able to immerse myself more in all that post-COVID world. But anyway, the downside of that is that they were actually very strict about me even occupying the space. So at first I thought that it would be a good opportunity once we locked down, and how they were only calling for it to be about 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, this is great, because now that I can get in there and I can furnish it and I can paint it and get it all operational. But that wasn't the case. And the township was like, even though you're not an operating business yet, it's still a commercial space and you can't occupy it because you're not essential. So of course, that 2 weeks turned into about 4 months. And so it just sat there, and it was hard to, to know that I couldn't, get in there and set up my business. And I was able to focus on a lot of things at home, as far as setting up all the things that come along with the business, getting your website ready, getting your business cards, finding insurance, et cetera, et cetera. So all that time was really dedicated towards the business as well, just from, just remotely.
Yeah.
So then once I opened, it was like a beautiful and foreign feeling for so many reasons. It was beautiful because it was all mine, and it looked like me. Like everywhere around just felt like this is really rad. This is very liberating. A lot of years have been working up to this moment. But foreign because I felt like I was, out of my whole career, 4 months is by far the longest that I haven't had a working machine in my hand, like not having to, it was a little nerve wracking, like I'm like, I know how to do this, but everything felt heavier because it was just me. But I quickly, that first day, it was just like riding a bike again. It felt wonderful. It was great. The township has been great to me. And I look forward to the business relationship that's going to continue to grow. Or in the spot that I'm in.
And I think it's so important for, like we've said, our other viewers and our listeners who aren't familiar with a tattoo industry or really maybe opening a business at all. But it's so important that, it's like you think of this grand idea of, oh, I'm opening my business, but there's really that back end of it, the most important parts of it, getting your website together, getting your business cards, doing the insurance, really kind of forging that the community and those relationships and the commerce, like you talked about. That's extremely important, and that resonates with people throughout all industries and everybody who's opening businesses, so not just the tattoo industry. So I think it's really incredible and important that those things are discussed, because I think it oftentimes it's of course so exciting to open your own shop or open your own business, but really understanding how much work behind it is so important. And so being able to kind of take the reins on that in a really difficult time when things are uncertain, things are up in the air, you have no idea what's going on. I think it's kind of metaphorically and physically heavy on you, but not just you, for all of us that have dealt with it. So I'm very excited to check it out. I know I've checked out your website. It's absolutely beautiful, and the artwork is absolutely beautiful. So I will, of course, add a link for everybody watching to check it out. And I encourage you all just to go over and check out the website. If anything, just search through, just look at it. You will just learn more about Karly, I believe, just from looking at it. And I think it's amazing that you were able to make it your own. And so when you say, I look around and, this is mine and this is me, I think that's really important. And I think when people are searching for an artist and people are searching for that experience, they're not only searching for the piece that they're going to have on their body, they're searching for the connection that they're going to have with the person and what it looks like. And you're able to create that now for yourself and represent who you are and your work. So I think that's incredible.
Thank you. The thing I hear most when people walk in the door is how calm and inviting and warm the studio is. And that's exactly what I was going for. I mean, getting a tattoo has almost historically been a pretty stressful experience for many reasons. I mean, it's an uncomfortable thing to go through. So why not make your customer the most comfortable they can be outside of the actual experience of getting tattooed? And people remember that, and they get comfortable with you and they get loyal to you. And I've always stressed to people that I don't necessarily, I don't know what the right word is, because of course I value loyalty, but it never would feel like I also appreciate that all of us artists offer such a different and variety of style, and like collect them all, if you're into many different styles, many different artists, like go get them. I do it.
Yeah.
And so loyalty to one artist, I understand it and I appreciate it. But you're also you're gonna make those connections with other people too. It's like having a healthy open relationship with every client that I've ever had.
Yeah.
But yes, it was really important for me to create a all around experience for people, not just them walking out with a tattoo that they enjoy. I want to know why they're getting that piece. And it might just be because they really love it, and that's perfectly fine. I think I'm only covered by tattoos that only because like I liked it. So
yeah, which is, I mean, perfectly okay, like you said, to each their own, and one person's experience may not be another person's. I mean, just a really quick connection. I have a zipper tattoo because when I was younger, I had gone on under anesthesia multiple times, and every time I was under anesthesia, I had the same dream. And I was on a zipper. And so I decided, when I was 18, I got a zipper tattoo. So I have that connection to that. Whereas I have another tattoo that I got because I just loved it, So
yeah.
I think that, to the connection to what you said, you can have one that has meaning and you can have one that's beautiful and that you just love. And that's okay.
Of course.
And I think, like you said, I think it's valuable for other people watching this and listening to this, tattoo artists themselves, or somebody who's interested in getting a tattoo. You speak on the loyalty piece, and I think it's extremely valuable that your perspective on that, and hearing that from a tattoo artist. I'm not sure if others feel this, but maybe at times one might feel that they have to be loyal to somebody because, I now have 2 tattoos from this person. I don't want them to be offended, and I'm sure there is people who might feel that sense of loyalty out there. But from your words to their ears, I think it's important that if you like somebody's art, that you represent them on your body. And so to not just feel that you have to be loyal to one person. So I think that's really incredible advice. And I think it's just a little piece of knowledge that really will go a long way for a lot of people that might not have thought about that. So I really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
So one of my last questions for you really is, being in business and being in organizational psychology and seeing how business is changing so rapidly, inside the workplace, outside the workplace, work-life balance, technology is innovative, things are just changing every day. Time feels like it's moving so much quicker. How do you kind of see the tattoo, kind of the industry as a whole changing for the future, or really kind of staying the same?
Yeah, I mean, that is a good question for an industry that feels like it's kind of in its golden age, right? Like tattoos have never been more popular. There's never been so many options. There's never been so many styles and platforms out there where we can see what's going on all throughout the world. Also, tattoo removal, being the technology of tattoo removal getting more advanced too, is actually really big to our industry, because most people I would say that the most people that I talk to who get tattoo removal, it's for the pure goal to lighten it up, to get a tattoo that they like instead over it, not necessarily to remove a tattoo completely. So with all this happening, it's hard to even imagine how much bigger it's going to get, because it feels like it's already so big. I would say it's probably only a matter of time before more legislation is put into place for tattoos. I think that economically, since it's such a booming industry, I don't know if taxes might be put into place in certain states. and like Jersey. The health department might be more involved in certain more rural areas where they aren't yet, which is all things I would love to see. I mean, not so much taxes, but like having more of a regulated workspace, I think, is very important. Anything to keep people more safe is a good thing in my book. And one other thing, although it might be a little sci-fi, but who the hell knows? We live in such a sci-fi world anymore. Yeah. And hopefully this happens after I'm retired, but 3D printing tattoos. There's already prototypes for very simple, a machine to do a very simple tattoo on somebody. I'd hate to see our industry being replaced by machines. And again, this might just be like a silly, science fiction worry, but I don't know, it's going to be interesting what happens next. I hope that we can all keep the momentum. There's some just like wonderful, talented artists. And honestly, it's become this industry which it consistently can put food on the table for artists who are otherwise kind of floundering what to do with their natural talent, like I was. It's a great industry to get into if you don't know what kind of artist or what kind of medium you will make you a living. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's another reason why it's getting to be so booming, because it's become this outlet and this career that all of these fantastic artists are being driven towards, because they know that it can be very lucrative if they do it right and do it well.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, I mean, who knows, you never know. I mean, I hope that machines do not replace the tattoo industry, because that will take away from the amazing part of connecting with somebody and having their art on their body and representing them and what they stand for, and carrying them with them for the rest of their lives. But I know machines are replacing a lot of things in my field, so I understand the thought process of who knows and who the heck knows where that's going to go in the future. But yeah, I think what the incredible piece you touched on, and so important also, is that the platforms that allow people to connect to this art and this tattoo art all around the world. I know I follow pages on Instagram, I follow pages on Facebook, I follow art from literally all over the world, like you said. And that might be because that's something I'm interested in. But even if you find a medium, all of our viewers and all of our listeners out there, you find a medium of art that you're interested in, you can now find that art from all around the world, and you can follow that from all around the world. So I think if you didn't know that before, all of our guests that are listening to this here now will know that now. And maybe you all, we just encourage them a little bit, or you just encourage them a little bit to go out and check that out and really kind of open themselves up to that, because that's what we're here for, really kind of expanding our knowledge, one piece of information. So I think it's really great to think about, and I mean, take advantage of. There's so many different platforms now with the best thing and the worst thing, the internet at our fingertips. You can find really, whatever you need in a moment's time. So if you're interested in finding it, guarantee you can find it. So I'm going to go ahead and just close this up here, Karly. I really appreciate you being here. I always like to ask my guests, as we kind of close things out, really one piece of advice or a key takeaway that you would want to leave our viewers and our listeners with.
If I can be very specific, if you're opening up your own private studio, I highly recommend 2 key pieces of advice. One, work in another studio first. Work with other artists who are a good fit, who can build you up. You learn so much about customer service, how people run their own, because we really are kind of doing our own things just all next to each other. And everyone has a very specific way they like to organize or, relate to their customers. And there's just so much to learn from other people, and especially other artists. I mean, as long as there aren't too many egos in the way, you can really learn from each other so much, and get outside of maybe this plateau you're hitting as an artist, and build each other up and give constructive criticism and be open to constructive criticism, and it'll only make you grow. The second piece of advice, always do a check to see if the title of your brand new private studio is not already owned by somebody else in the area. Because I've never owned a business before, and I've never opened a business before. And I had a different name for my studio that I did everything under up until the week before I was going to open. And when I announced that I was opening this studio, I got an email within the hour from somebody saying they were also opening up a tattoo studio 20 minutes from me with the same exact name. And I, of course, looked to see if there was any operational businesses under that name. And I registered the name as a DBA, which, if you don't know, is, if listeners don't know, is called doing business as under my existing LLC. However, they had bought the rights to the official LLC months prior, which is it's a public search. You can search existing LLCs in your state with a couple simple clicks, something that I learned too late. So everything had to be rerouted the week before I opened. It was annoying. It was a little heartbreaking, but it was a great learning experience, and an inevitable, be open that inevitably you're going to make mistakes like that when you're opening a business. And it is a learning process. You're not going to know everything going in, even if you think that you do. So you got to roll with the punches, and you got to make last minute decisions, and you have to trust that it will all work out in the end if you have the right passion and motivation to make it so.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely perfect. You said it perfect. If you have that passion, you have that motivation, you can make it work. And I'm glad that you left us off with that. I'm glad that you targeted our audience for that, and all those people out there that are thinking about this, that are going to be watching this, that are in the tattoo industry. It's great information. And it's things that you just don't sometimes think about, and you couldn't know it unless you made the mistake yourself. You're exactly right. And, like Karly said, everybody out there watching, mistakes happen, be open to it. The criticisms, accept them. It is a part of life. It is a good learning experience. It's a part of growing. We all make mistakes. We are all human. We're all continuing to learn every day. So I think it's incredible. I'm so happy to have you here, Karly. Thank you so, so much for being with us today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Of course. All right, all of our listeners, all of our viewers out there, I will, of course, attach the links to Karly's studio, karlycleary.com. You can go check her out, her amazing artwork, how beautiful the studio looks in Jenkintown, Pennsylvania, called Fabled Studio. So I'll make sure I include all of that. And I encourage you all, head over to the YouTube page, check it out, share with some family and friends. If you know anybody in the tattoo industry, if you know anybody who wants to be in the tattoo industry, or anybody really who just loves tattoos and wants to listen to this, I think it's incredible. And you can find a lot of different professionals over on our page talking about their professional background. So continue to stay wealthy in all of your health. I can't wait to experience all of this soon with you guys. And Karly, I wish you the best of luck. I'm so happy to have you today.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.